We're back on the air. This is Radio Entrepreneurs, and we're always sharing the success of entrepreneurship. And just for the record, we are at the law firm of Davis Mom at the Augustine, and my co-host is Pat Clendenen. Hi, Pat.
Jeffrey, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. It's a pleasure.
I'm having such a good time. You have really lined up the most intellectually stimulating series of guests for us, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you here and
right.
the guests, too, of course.
And you know the feeling is mutual. Our next guest is Paul Bottino from the Harvard Technology and Entrepreneurship Center.
Tell us about that journey and how you ended up at Harvard and the kind of growth of the Technology and Entrepreneurship Center.
I'd be happy to. Well, the law part of it was a long time ago now, but came out of law school. It was a recession. That was the job I was going to get. I never really intended to be a lawyer, but I loved law school. Law school, as you know, is very broad, big thinking, big issues, interesting. And then the law practice, for me anyway, I know a lot of people like it, but for me it was very small and detail-oriented, and that was not for me. But I had some great people that I was working for, so I stayed for 5 years and started to soul search and decide what did I want to do. And at that time, it was sort of beginning of the internet. So I had, as an immigrant, my father was born in Italy, and my education was always primary in our household. So I started thinking, where do I want to be? I want to be part of the knowledge creation universe. And so being in Boston, I wasn't going to leave. I looked at Harvard and MIT and started working in a corporate development capacity. And in a corporate development capacity, you get to see everything that's happening at a university because you're on the avant-garde. And what I noticed was there was nothing going on in terms of internet or entrepreneurship. It was actually illegal at Harvard for students to be entrepreneurs. And that dates back, hundreds of years. So I proposed this entrepreneurship center to the dean of engineering at the time, and they weren't really ready for it. And I got hired there to do what I was doing, which was corporate development, and then got alumni interested, got students interested, and they said, okay, we'll try it. And by this time, it was late 1999, going into 2000, and there were a lot of naysayers, but a lot of support as well at the dean level. But then the stock market bubble burst, if you remember, until I think it was March of 2000.
How can we forget?
Yeah, how can we forget? Well, things come back around. So
it was more than just a burst.
It was right, an utter collapse, right? So at that point, it was like, oh, this internet thing, this is not going to work out. So what we ended up doing was biotechnology for about 7 or 8 years. So consequently, that was not great educationally. We started a couple of biotech companies. We had biotech startup classes. We had everyone in Cambridge come in to give talks. But educationally, it was difficult because you're far from the market. Everything takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money. So around 2008, we got back to sort of what I wanted to do, which was more the digital. And so since then, we've been, we've had competitions and courses. And
tell us about the competition that you host every year.
Well, it's something called the Harvard College Innovation Challenge, which I started. It was the first entrepreneurship. Well, so Technology and Entrepreneurship Center at Harvard was the first institutional offering for undergrads. There's always been a lot of great entrepreneurship work being done at the business school, but it's primarily for business students. And so I started doing things for undergrads, and the handbook got changed. It became legal to do things at Harvard as a student, and so I started building up the resources, and that includes a fellows program, this competition, this program I run called Startup Rad, which stands for Startup R&D, and the fellows do lots of conferences and whatnot. But the competition itself has been running for 10 years, and we've had a lot of great successes. But I don't really judge the programs we run based on the company successes, because I think it's really about education. I think the reason that we're doing what we're doing is so that the students have a chance when they're young to have an innovator's experience.